Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Computer History Museum. I'm John Holler, the CEO, and it's my pleasure to welcome you tonight on behalf of the trustees and our staff, our members, everybody associated with the museum. We're just absolutely delighted that you're here. I want to thank our good friends at Intel who have sponsored the entire Revolutionary series, Season 1 as we're calling it now, and also Perforce Software because they both have provided support for this speaker series. And in connection with Revolutionaries, I'm really delighted to announce tonight a fairly significant partnership with KQED. KQED and the Computer History Museum have now partnered to produce a 13-part series that will premiere on public television in January called CHM Presents Revolutionaries. And it's going to be the best of our speaker series featuring people that you will have seen and heard either personally here at the museum or on our YouTube channel or on KQED FM or on C-SPAN. By the way, KQED FM and C-SPAN are both here tonight. This is the lineup that starts January 16th and will go for 13 weeks. Of course, Walter Isaacson, Mark Zuckerberg and David Kirkpatrick with NPR's Guy Raz, IBM Chairman Sam Palmisano, DreamWorks Chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg and CTO Ed Leonard, IBM's David Ferrucci, the inventor of Watson, Paul Allen, Jane McGonigal, the expert in gaming around the world with NPR's Laura Seidel, Pulitzer Prize winner Jane Smiley, journalist Stephen Levy, author of In the Plex, which is essentially the biography of Google, David Hartley of the British Computing Society and a protege of Sir Maurice Wilkes, Mark Bowden, author of Black Hawk Down, who was here with TJ Campana of Microsoft talking about his new book Worm, the first Digital World War with John Markoff. Venture capital legend Bill Draper along with KQED's David Iverson, and Eric Horvitz of Microsoft and Peter Norvig of Google, probably two of the leading AI experts in the world, talking with KQED's Tim Olson. This is quite a lineup. We feel very, very privileged to have had every single one of these people on our stage in the last 12 months. And we are looking forward to kicking off Season 2 in January. So keep an eye on your mailbox, your email, and museum newsletter because we'll be talking more about the lecture series to come. Now on to our program. It was January 15th, 2008. Steve Jobs was on stage in San Francisco making one of his legendary presentations. The Kindle e-reader comes up and Jobs said, "This will go nowhere," being uncharacteristically blunt. He said it would go nowhere because Americans have stopped reading. It doesn't matter how good or bad the product is, the fact is that people don't read anymore. 40% of the people in the United States read one book or less last year. The whole concept is totally flawed. Well, if it's true that people only are reading one book this year, we know which book it is. Despite its late arrival on October 28th, shortly after Steve's tragic death, it went immediately to #1 on Amazon, nearly a month before its release, and ever since then it has dominated every bestseller list in many parts of the world. Walter Isaacson has been at this for a while. He is not only, of course, a distinguished journalist, former chairman of CNN, former managing editor of Time Inc., now the president and CEO of the Aspen Institute, but next year will mark the 20th anniversary of his first major biography, that of Henry Kissinger. To that, of course, he's added the biographies of Benjamin Franklin, Albert Einstein, and now, of course, this book on Steve Jobs. Walter and I talked a few days ago about opening this evening with something special and featuring items from our landmark collection, which you can see here on stage. Walter's going to introduce them. Aren't they neatly dressed in their black turtlenecks? Don't they look good? They have sneakers on underneath the podium here. And we have about 3,000 items in our collection from Apple. It's one of the largest collections of its kind in the world dealing with Apple. But after Steve died, when we were looking through the collection to find out really what was the best of the best, we discovered something very amazing. It was a videotape that Regis McKenna had made in 1980 of a 25-year-old Steve Jobs making a 22-minute presentation at Stanford on the roots of Apple and his vision for the company. We have digitized that and we've put it on our website at computerhistory.org. It's never been seen before, and we're going to play you about 2 minutes of it tonight, and I hope you'll be as amazed as we were when you see it.
We had absolutely no idea what people were going to do these things when we started out. Matter of fact, the two people it was designed for was Woz and myself, because we couldn't afford to buy a computer kit on the market. So we liberated some parts from Hewlett-Packard and Atari, and worked on a design for about 6 months and decided that we would build our own computer. So we built one, and Woz was up till 4 in the morning for many moons, and we got it working. We showed some of our friends. Immediately everybody wanted one, and it turned out that it took about 40 hours to build one of these things and about another 20, 30, 40 to debug it. And we had a lot of friends that worked at similar companies who could liberate the parts also. And we found ourselves spending every spare moment of our time helping our friends to build computers. And it was just getting to be a tremendous drain on our lives. So we got the idea one day that we could make a printed circuit board without the parts in it, and sell these blank printed circuit boards to our friends and probably cut the assembly and debug time down to, 5, 10 hours. So Woz sold his HP 6 calculator and I sold my van, and we got $1,300 together, and we paid our friend of ours who was this PC board layout person $1,300 to do us a layout, and decided we'd sell printed circuit boards at twice what it cost to build them and hopefully recoup our calculator and transportation at some later date. So that's what we did, and I was out trying to peddle PC boards one day and walked into a bite shop, the first bite shop in Mountain View, and Paul Terrell, the then owner of the bite shop, said he would like to take 50 of these computers. And I saw dollar signs in front of my eyes. But he had one catch, which was that he wanted them fully assembled and tested, ready to go, which is a new twist. So we spent the next 5 days on the phone to distributors and convinced the electronics parts distributors around here to give us about $10,000 worth of parts on thin air, just on enthusiasm. So we got the parts and we built 100 computers and we sold 50 of them for cash, and 29 days paid off the distributors. And that's how we got started.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Walter Isaacson.
Hey, good to see you, sir. How great it is to be here at the Computer History Museum.
Well, we're
wonderful,
delighted.
Wonderful place. Can I give a shout out to Steve Wozniak, who I just saw, and his wife Joyce? Woz, stand up. Andy Hertzfeld next to him, I think, and so all the history is here. Totally intimidating me, because I'll keep looking over and they'll be nodding or shaking their head. No, it wasn't that way exactly. But so if I look over there, that's for my cues.
This is a Silicon Valley crowd, Walter. They won't be that polite.
Oh, dear.
Well, we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Let me ask you about your very, very first meeting with Steve Jobs, 1984. Mm-hmm. You described yourself as a junior editor at the time. He comes to New York to demonstrate the Macintosh. And how did that go? You
see both sides of Steve. That absolutely passionate side, because there he is with the original Mac, that thing sitting there that almost looks like it's smiling at you. He makes sure that the strip up there, he shows us how thin it is so it looks like a friendly face, not a Neanderthal face. And he shows us all the graphical icons, and you can tell he's passionate about every pixel. He's also furious at Time magazine, tells us that, we're not nearly as good as Newsweek, that somebody, I won't name his name because he lives here, had written a horrible story about him. And so I saw the petulant side. And that's when I first started to realize that the sort of impatience and petulism that you sometimes saw in Steve Jobs was connected to the passion and the perfectionism.
You were meeting incredible people. You have met incredible people during your career. Was there something special about that encounter? Did he make a particular impression on you at that moment?
I must admit, I was mesmerized by him. He's a very compelling person. I mean, you saw it there. That's what he was then. And he's telling you these stories. He was up for he was mad because he had not been made Man of the Year for the end of 1982. I, of course, have been an idiot on the wrong side of that, and I'd voted for Paul Volcker. None of you remember who Paul Volcker was. But we had done The Machine Moves In. It was sort of Machine of the Year. And so But you could tell the first time you met Steve Jobs that there was something compelling about him.
So flash forward 20 years, it's 2004, and he gets in touch with you.